Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're back with the Lizardmen, gonna be taking on the Tomb Kings, so let's get to the army compositions. Krokar gonna be leading the way for the Lizardmen here, with his unit of Temple Guard as his bodyguard here. We've also got a Skink Priest, where is he at? Over here. Lore of Heavens. He's got Harmonic Convergence, Wind Blast, Curse the Midnight Wind, as well as the Cube of Darkness. Very good for spamming on enemy casters. In terms of the infantry line, it's a mix of Saurus Warriors with shields, Skink Cohort with javelins. Gary, the good old Revification Crystal, going to be joining us once again. Then over on this side, we've got 3 units of Skink Skirmishers in Vanguard with 2 units of Horned Ones. So, I've been hearing that Horned Ones are actually pretty decent recently. So I decided to give it a shot in this battle. They certainly look super cool with their Horned One mounts here. So we'll see how they do here. They do have pretty heavy AP damage and decent combat stats. Not the best melee defense, but 41 melee attack with 55 charge bonus, 52 total weapon strength. Pretty decent. So for the Tomb Kings against us, we've got some Skeleton Spearmen, Skeleton Warriors for the front line. Looks like a unit of Tomb Guard and the Scorpion Legion. Cetra the Imperishable are going to be leading the way here. We've also got the Sphinx of Usek here, 2 units of Ushab de Grepo, and the Bone Giant. So without further ado, let's get the battle rolling. And yeah, you can see I'm going to be using my Skinks to move up over on this side. These aren't chameleon Skinks, so they are visible to my opponent, but that's kind of the idea here, is to draw potentially some fire with these nice cheap Skinks while I advance with the rest of my forces, because obviously, you know, these Saurus cost twice as much as a unit of Skink Skirmishers, so I'd much rather these poor little private Skinks here start taking the fire rather than my more expensive units. So yeah, my opponent also going to move out into the open here, both just kind of advancing. 2 of the relatively slow factions. But, you know, we'll definitely get there eventually. You can see the Shop de Grapos opening up shots here onto these poor little skink bros as they advance. The woods will give them some cover, or I guess the jungle more appropriately. But the idea here is more or less to see if we can draw some units out of position. My Horned Ones are moving up through the woods as much as possible to try and stay hidden, get into a position to potentially spring a nice ambush here. Meanwhile, the Bone Giant's moving up to try and shoot at Gary, but I keep pulling him back. Now I'm going to start pulling forward as the rest of my forces are getting pretty close to engagement distance here. Meanwhile, over on this side, you can see the Sphinx of Usek coming to stand overwatch over these Ushab de Grapos. Looks like potentially trying to push his way through there, but yeah, the slope, of course, meaning that the Skink Skirmisher is not able to get hit currently by the units that's very close, but this other unit is able to hit them. Meanwhile, the mainline engagement going to be getting underway shortly here. You can see all across the line. We're going to go ahead and pull back in just a moment with all of the Skink cohort so that we can pitch their javelins first, and then allow the Saurus to charge in. So you see there, we fade back with the Skinks, and just allow the Saurus to take the brunt of the mainline engagement. Meanwhile, up on the high ground here, we've managed to draw out the Sphinx of Usek. So I'm like, okay, well, this is a perfect opportunity to see how good Horned Ones are. So they're going to come charging out of the hill, down the hill, out of the woods here. Beautiful stuff with the combat going down, the mainline engagement over on the far side with these Horned Ones charging in here. They're going to do a huge amount of damage to this Necrosphinx here. You can see leadership already crumbling. These things honestly don't have the best leadership, and just look at the chunks getting taken out of that Sphinx of Usek. The heavy weapon damage of those Horned Ones, of course. We've got the overwatch of the Skink Skirmishers as well, and yeah, we're going to take some damage from the Sphinx itself and from the Shop de Grepo fire there, but that Sphinx definitely suffering. Meanwhile, Skullstorm being dropped in the front line here. Skinks honestly doing quite well against skeletons, as you would expect. Meanwhile, Cetra is focused on good old Gary here, as is the Bone Giant. Both very good targets. Or a very good target for both of them, rather. But Wind Blast going down. The Skink Priest is doing his best to buff up this main line, like we've dropped Harmonic Convergence already on the Saurus. We're going to be dropping a Curse of the Midnight Wind shortly, but yeah, you can see we've managed to do enough damage to the Sphinx of Usek that I'm like, okay, we can go ahead and take these Horned Ones, start chasing the Ushabti Greatbows in the back line, and leave the Skink Skirmishers to clean up the Sphinx of Usek here, since it's crumbling already. In the back line, we're going to be using these Skink cohort here to intercept the Scorpion Legion and move in with the Saurus Warriors. Gary's definitely uncomfortable, but Curse the Midnight Wind here helping the Skink cohort, and the Saurus Warriors, of course, just cut through these Tomb Guard, rather. Meanwhile, the Temple Guard with Croc are over on the far side, not really too involved, honestly, at this point, just taking on the summoned Ushabti here, which they will cut through very, very easily. So, yeah, you can see in the back line, though, the Horned Ones definitely MVPs in this particular battle, taking down a unit of Ushabti Greatbows, no problem, after already having dealt with the Necrosphinx there. So these guys have been generating a ton of value here. We're also going to be collapsing into this next unit of Ushabti Greatbows. Not that I have much of a choice about it, because at this point they are enraged, which is one of the rough things about that particular unit. But another very nicely placed Skullstorm, routing off those Skink cohorts there. Unfortunately, not going to be able to save the Scorpion Legion. Cetra at this point is just surrounded by Saurus. He's going to try and pop his little blast there to escape and potentially go after Gary in the back line. But yeah, you can see the Skink Priest just kind of chilling. The Bone Giant is still online, unfortunately, and it is routing Gary off. So the Revification Crystal's down, but Krokar and the Temple Guard pushing forward. Krokar getting a little bit far ahead here, but he's totally fine to duel this Bone Giant by himself. With his anti-large AP and his great combat stats, he'll be able to take down the Bone Giant, no problem here. And yeah, you can see the Sphinx finally came back to try and finish off the Horned Ones here, but they were able to take down both of those units of Ushabti Greatbows, no problem, and still have enough to come back and finish off the Sphinx Busek as well. So very impressive stuff, I have to say, from these Horned Ones. Not a unit that I've used super often before, definitely one that I'm going to be using more going forward. You can see them enraging finally and getting a nice rear charge in on this Bone Giant too here. We've got the Temple Guard, Krokar, the Horned Ones all just wailing on this Bone Giant, so it's only a matter of time here before the Tomb Kings crumble away. So fun stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this one. Yeah, Horned One's not a unit that you see used too often, but potentially a unit you're going to see more often on my channel at least, because they seem to be pretty solid. You can see the Bone Giant giving up the ghost in the distance there, and with that's going to be victory for the Lizardmen. So, well played to my opponent. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. In terms of the breakdown here, yeah, you can see chevrons all around on the Horned Ones, despite the fact that they got very low numbers of kills. Obviously, that's mostly like the Ushabti and stuff. But yeah, they were able to take down not only the Necrosphinx, but 2 units of Ushabti. That's what, like 4,000 plus, you know, points worth of value, 4,500 points worth of value, just about. So huge value from the Horned Ones there. I'm really looking forward to using them going forward. Krokar, of course, with the Temple Guard, really weren't challenged too much. The Saurus were able to clean up the infantry line without too much issue. They really aren't challenged by the Tomb King's infantry too much, although the one unit of Tomb Guard here, 103 kills and an XP chevron, were definitely a bright spot. Cetra himself also managed to rack up 101 kills. My opponent had some pretty good casts of the Skullstorm there, which is honestly not a terrible pick against the Lizardmen. Personally, I prefer the 2 buff spells, the Physical Resistance, which I believe he was spamming that as well, and the Cursed Blades, to potentially give units which don't have a bonus versus large, to actually give them a bonus versus large in melee. For example, like these Ushabti Greatbows, when those Horned Ones charge in, if you were to pop that Overcast Cursed Blades on them, they'll trade a bit more effectively. You still probably don't want them fighting the Horned Ones one-on-one, but still, fun stuff. And yeah, it's an interesting matchup, you know, the Tomb Kings versus the Lizardmen. It certainly can go a lot of different ways, and you can see my opponent's army was clearly focused on dinosaur hunting. And he had Cetra, who's anti-large AP, the anti-large AP of the Necrosphinx. He had the Bone Giant and the 2 Ushabti Greatbows, all of which are going to be great at shooting big dinosaurs, obviously. So yeah, my opponent definitely expecting more of a dinosaur-focused list. I really only had the 1 dino here, and then despite the anti-large AP of the Necrosphinx, it was still just wrecked by those Horned Ones. I was honestly surprised at how well they did there. I was not expecting them to do quite well in terms of just beating that thing down, but yeah, they're quite powerful units, so definitely one for the books. Let me know your guys' thoughts about the horned ones, what's been your experience using them, if you have used them. Bit of a hidden gem in my opinion, and we're going to be having a look at them hopefully soon against some of the other like heavy cav factions, for example, to see how they trade against like, you know, Knights of the Realm, Grail Knights, how they trade against Demigryph Knights potentially. Hopefully I'll get some matchups showing that off soon, but thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. And yeah, we'll see you next time.